I'm Mark Bridge, and you're watching Pop Culture Galaxy TV. Alright, big news over the weekend. Patrick Stewart dropped a bombshell at the Star Trek convention at Las Vegas over the weekend. He will be back as Jean-Luc Picard on the follow-up to Star Trek The Next Generation. So, first let me say this. Like, I'm a Star Trek fan, not the biggest. I'm a Star Trek fan in that I've seen all the series except I've only seen some of the episodes of the original series, some of the episodes. But because it was before my time, it was kind of hard to get into, and my appreciation for it had passed. You know what I mean? But I've seen some episodes from season 1, season 2, sprinkled here and there, but I've never watched it fully. But I've watched the entire series of The Next Generation, of Deep Space Nine, of Voyager, of Enterprise, and Discovery. Well, the first season of Discovery. And I've seen all the movies. Now, as far as my favorite of the entire series, it's like a tie between Deep Space Nine and Voyager. Yes, I know a lot of people are hating on Voyager, but I loved Voyager. I loved the aspect of them trapped in the Alpha Quadrant. No, not the Alpha, the Delta Quadrant, and the fact that they're like alone. There's no Starfleet. There's no Federation. There's nothing to help them. They're stuck by themselves all the way over there, and it's just like I really love that aspect of it. Deep Space Nine, I love the sort of political machinations of that world, the war that was going on and stuff like that. So I like the like those two represents the dramatic angle of the Star Trek franchise. While Generations had some really dramatic episodes, it really felt like an evolution of the old series, the original series. So it had more of that sense to it. There were some awesome dramatic and very scary episodes in that season, in that series, but it like I said, it felt more akin to what you saw in the original series, while Deep Space Nine and Voyager felt like its own beasts. You know what I mean? Discovery is definitely its own thing, and with the success of Discovery, CBS All Access and Alex Kurtzman, who's running those shows, they got a little bit more balls to make more Star Trek series. So Star Trek is basically coming back in a huge way now. Like, after Nemesis, it was dead for a while, and then it came back in the movies, but then it felt like, oh, it's just gonna be a movie franchise now, and there will be no more series. And a lot of people missed it being on a series, because with the advantage of the movie is that you get to put a bigger budget on screen, but the disadvantage is you won't get to see those smaller and intimate stories, and the films have to be like big and bombastic, so they feel less like Star Trek than Star Trek. Even though Star Trek Beyond felt like a Star Trek episode, which was pretty good. But as far as sort of people getting their Star Trek fix on television week to week, getting a cool new episode that explored different aspects of the universe, they couldn't get that. So Discovery filled that void. The only problem is, because it's kind of taking that sort of motion picture sensibility of like, we have to go big. A lot of people complain that it didn't feel like Star Trek, and then the Orville came along and felt more Star Trek than Star Trek did. There was a whole big comparison, but I think even though it stumbled in the starting line, Discovery eventually won people over, especially towards the latter half of the season. A lot of people were like already invested in these characters, invested in the storyline that was going on, and I think by the end of it, everybody was pretty impressed with Discovery, and the production value on that shit is woo. You know what I mean? So it's like best of both worlds. We get to see Star Trek, and we get to see the same kind of production value that they would put into a movie into Star Trek. And now Star Trek Discovery Season 2 looks more like in tune with Star Trek, especially bringing in Pike and the Enterprise. It's kind of like it's like a mashup of the past and the present and the future, so to speak, with what's coming next. And then there's a new series that's coming out that will star Jean-Luc Picard. Now, that series will not have him as captain. As he said before, he won't be captain, or he may not be captain. And he'll be very different. Because as far as that series is concerned, 20 years have passed since Star Trek Nemesis, which was the last film with the Next Generation crew. So a lot of time has elapsed. He's in a different place. You may not recognize him. When he first announced that, I don't know if maybe the people in the audience were like scared, but they were kind of on the high of the fact that he came out and now made this big announcement that kind of maybe quell any sort of worry that they might have about him not being the same Picard that they fell in love with in the Next Generation series. So, but I think people are just still blown over, and they're like, oh my god, we're getting Jean-Luc Picard. That's the first thing. We're getting Jean-Luc Picard back. The bonus to that is we're getting a new Star Trek series that goes forward, because we haven't had, as far as the timeline is concerned, Voyager, as far as television, was the last sort of entry. Voyager, because Enterprise went back in time, and then Nemesis was the last movie. Nemesis, I think, is, if you want to go chronologically, including all the Star Trek, I think Nemesis is where it ends, and nothing has taken place after Nemesis. Well, we're finally getting a Star Trek series that takes place after Nemesis, which is going to move the storyline forward, the franchise forward. We're going to see what the world, the Milky Way is going to look like, what the Starfleet is going to look like, what the Federation is going to look like. So yeah, I'm super excited to see Jean-Luc Picard, and just more excited to see actually a new Star Trek series that goes forward in time, because like Discovery is back. It's back before the original series. It's after Enterprise, but before the original series. But I'm super excited. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Batman. Matt Reeves came out and said, because a lot of people there was rumors going around that the next Batman movie will be based on year one, and everybody was like, why do we have to go through the origin tale again? We did it already in Batman Begins. Even though Tim Burton's the first Batman wasn't an origin tale, he was already Batman, which is dope. It did kind of tie back into his past with the whole Joker thing, being the one that supposedly killed his parents, whatever. But we got a really comprehensive story about how he becomes Batman in Batman Begins. And then not to mention Gotham, which is going on to its 5th season now. We don't need another origin tale. We know Batman's beginning from back of our head. He's like Jesus. He's like, we know who Batman is. So he came out, Matt Reeves came out, who's directing the movie, said, no, it won't be an origin tale, and it will sort of be a personal story to him, though. It'll be something that will explore his, I guess, personal side. We don't know what it is. We don't know which villain is going to be focused on. We don't even know if Ben Affleck is going to be in this movie. He didn't say. He didn't say whether it's a young Batman, what timeline it's taking place. So we don't know any of that. Only thing is, he sort of came out and said it's not an origin story, and it's a very personal Batman story. For me, I would have loved to see Hush. I think Hush would have been a perfect story to adapt. Number one, it being a personal story because it has to do with. I won't spoil it for anyone who's never read the storyline, but the villain of it is very personal to Bruce. To not only Batman, but to Bruce. And one thing that storyline does is if you've never read a Batman story and want to get a Batman story that not only feels like a Batman story with him being a detective, but features, if not all, but most of his rogues gallery, that's the story you would do to adapt. Like, it has Harley Quinn in it. I think that was the first appearance of Harley Quinn in the comics, because she was a Batman animated series creation. It features Harley Quinn, Joker, Poison Ivy, Catwoman. As a matter of fact, Catwoman plays his love interest in it. And that was a very deeply personal love story between the two of them, because they've been on and off again. Like, they were enemies but not enemies in that story, and then they said, listen, we've been playing this back and forth for a long time. Obviously, there's some big attraction there, and I want to let you in. Like Batman said in that story, like, I want to let you in because the reason why we can never move forward is because there's part of me that you can never get to know, right? Because Batman knows she's Selina Kyle, but she doesn't know he's Bruce Wayne. So he revealed himself, took his mask off and said, this is who I am. And that was like him revealing the layer to say, let's give this a shot. And it was a great love story, and I think that would make a wonderful film and a personal fit the whole mold of it being a personal story to Batman, whether it's his love interest or the villain who really shares a personal connection with Bruce. And again, it features a shit ton of villains in it. Poison Ivy's in it, Killer Croc, Riddler, all of them, all those characters are in the story, and I think that would have made a great movie to adapt. I don't know if that's what they're gonna do, but let's just see. I'm excited to see what Matt Reeves does with the character, and I really hope Ben Affleck comes back. I mean, I think regardless of how I felt about Batman vs Superman or Justice League, I think Ben Affleck was an awesome Batman, and he just needs to be in a great Batman film to show just how awesome he is. You know what I mean? So that's just my take on it. I'm looking forward to see what Matt has to bring to the table. Now, the final topic I want to talk about is Daredevil. Keeping up with the whole dark superhero theme. Daredevil was actually, if you were to go by how they've been releasing the series, the Netflix shows, it was Daredevil's time. You know what I mean? Daredevil's the one who started it. He had 2 seasons before he saw everybody else's show, and then he's been off the board for a while, and then all of a sudden you had Jessica Jones come out with her show, you had Luke Cage come out with his show, and you think, oh, you gotta be Daredevil. Nope, Iron Fist is next. But that was purposeful. They did say that Daredevil was supposed to come out that time, but they put Iron Fist next. So a lot of people speculated that they're saving Daredevil until after Avengers 4, whether that was a narrative reason or they just wanted to give other shows like a shot before they show this one. Who knows, but that's what people thought. But then the CFO of Netflix, David Wells, he came out and said, yes, Daredevil is coming out this year before the year is done. So we're getting, I think, 4 shows. 4 shows this year for Netflix. We had Jessica Jones, we had Luke Cage, we're getting Iron Fist in September. And between September and December, we're gonna get Daredevil season 3, which I'm excited for. I think Daredevil and Punisher are the pinnacle of the Netflix Marvel shows. They're like, especially Daredevil season 2 and Punisher season 1. They're the mecca of the Netflix shows. And then I would give Jessica Jones and then Luke Cage. Iron Fist is trash. I really hope season 2 is good. And I was kind of disappointed with the Defenders. There was some part of it that was good. Like, I love the aspect of like, if it wasn't for Elektra and Daredevil, I would have just totally poo-pooed on the Defenders. But I think that storyline that was a carryover from season 2 of Daredevil. I think that's the aspect of that show that held it on for me. So I'm really excited to see Daredevil season 3, especially how Defenders ended with his character, where he's at. And I hope to see Elektra again because I really love that character. As a matter of fact, I love that character so much. I would love if she made it transition into the movies, into a Thunderbolts movie. That would be dope. Like have her, have Ghost, have Punisher. If Punisher was the Thunderbolts, Red Hulk, Winter Soldier, and Zemo. All those 6 Thunderbolts movie. Think about it, Marvel. I'll be there. Alright, so like I said, Daredevil season 3 is coming this year. I'm super excited. It was shooting. I think it's wrap shooting. Some characters that came up in season 2 of Luke Cage is actually going to be in that show. The Annabelle Sciorra's character, that gangster from season 2 of Luke Cage, she will be in Daredevil season 2. Or is it Punisher? I'm getting confused. Anyway, Punisher season 2 is coming too, so I'm really excited. Alright, so that'll do it for this episode of Pop Culture Galaxy TV. Yo, smash that subscribe button. Give me a like. I want to get to 1,000 subscribers, so I'm on that mission. I'm on that grind. So leave us a comment. Subscribe, share, and tell me what you think. It's all about what you guys think, and I would love to hear from you guys. So until next time, folks, peace.